In the opening solo, I played some stuff that started off pretty simple, minor pentatonic. As the solo went on, I started adding notes from some of the different modes. What we're going to do in this lesson is I'm going to show you where that minor pentatonic is to start with, but then also where some of those other notes are that will give you the sound. It's almost like the extraction of the texture or the color of each of those modes, whether it's Dorian, natural minor. We're going to do the same thing with the blues scale. They're real simple ideas, but what we want is we want to be able to, instead of learning all these new scales for modes, we want to just be able to know what they sound like and how to get those sounds with something you're already pretty familiar with. All right. The backing track that I played over is in the key of C minor. There will be a link below this video to where that backing track is on our channel. There's also a link to the playlist, which has that same backing track, but in all 12 keys, so you can practice it in all 12 keys. And there'll probably be a PDF link to the website with the PDF. So here we go. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at where our C minor pentatonic scale is. If we start here with the root on the 8th string, we got C, E flat, that's the minor third, 4th, 5th, minor 7, root, minor third, 4th, 5th, minor 7, root, minor third. For the purposes of this lesson today, we're really only going to take a look at the first 4 strings. All right, starting on the, here's the minor 7, root, minor third, 4, 5, minor 7, root, minor 3. One of the reasons why we refer to these notes by their interval names or their scale degrees is because we want to be able to understand something well enough that if we see this idea in another part of the fretboard, we can actually just move it around however we want to. All right, so that's the first thing. That's your minor pentatonic in C minor. The first note we're going to add is going to be an easy one to add because it's the second note of the scale. In this context, because we're using it as a color note, I kind of want to think about it as the 9th, which is an octave higher. It's the same note, an octave higher. But because it's not changing whether it's a major or a minor chord, which is the 3rd, it doesn't conflict with that. It works a little bit better this way. So at one point in the solo, I ended up on there. So I just went up that minor scale, minor pentatonic, and I ended there on that note. You can, you can go up and down the scale. But for right now, just to get the color of these notes, let's try ending our phrases on them for right now, or really emphasizing them. All right, so that's the first bit. You go up the scale, and then end on the 9th right there, which is the D. You could also end it an octave lower. That's the same note right there. All right, so we have this minor pentatonic scale in this position, and we're adding that one note. So it's almost like a 6-note scale, but we're not really thinking about it that way so much. All right, that phrase I just played kind of sounds like David Gilmour in Comfortably Numb. I think there's at least one solo he ends right there, or one really major lick. The next note, if we're going to kind of aim towards the Dorian sound, is going to be the major sixth, which is A, here, and also here in our pattern. If we were to play the whole thing, we would just have the top 4 strings of a Dorian scale. All right. If I was to take that idea that I did before, and instead of the 9th end on the 6th, we get that sound. All right. That's a pretty very Santana kind of sound, very jazzier in terms of minor. Yeah, coming down here, that's where it is there. All right, I always like doing this half step bend from the 6th to the minor 7. Yeah, and right there, that gives us a pretty good Dorian sound right there. The next note we're going to add to this is going to be the flat 5. Actually, before we get to the flat 5, let's talk about what happens to the 6th when we lower it a half step. This gives us just our regular minor scale. All right, but if we were to take, that's almost like a Randy Rhoads lick, actually, I think, from the tune Goodbye to Romance. That note right there, because it's a half step away from the 5th, it's a little harder to sit on more often than not. And I think that's one reason why people who play like jammier stuff or jazzier stuff tend to like the Dorian sound with the major 6th. But sometimes that's just the right note. Also, if you're playing a minor blues and you get to the 4 chord, that's the minor 3rd of the 4 chord. Say you're playing like Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King or something like that. You could do that. All right, so far we've added the 9th. We've added the 6th. We've also added the minor 6th. Right, and you can kind of hear each of those have a different color. Right. In the last lesson, we talked a little bit about what happens when you add the flatted 5th to the minor pentatonic. We get the actual blues scale, right? In this position, it's right there. You generally don't want to sit on it too much because you get that between the 5 of the chord and the flat 5 there. But it's actually a great way to kind of smoothly move through the scale, which has all these big intervals. Right. The other thing is that we generally tend to, we want to, if we're not moving straight through it, we start on the 4 and we do this kind of not quite a trill, but we go 4, flat 5, 4. So that's the flat 5 right there. You can, if you wanted to, get into other scales. If you want the harmonic minor sound, it's the flat or minor 6th, and then you raise the 7th note. So instead of having those notes, you've got that guy there. So that harmonic minor scale, basically it's a little weird feeling because you've got 2 half steps, and you've got this, it's a minor 3rd between those. Right. One place in rock music you'll find that scale a lot is the solo to Sweet Child of Mine, the middle solo by Guns N' Roses. That's one of the sounds. You can also play a melodic minor, which has the major 7 and the major 6. So it's like a Dorian with the major 6th. Or it's a major scale with a minor 3rd. There's all different ways you can think about these things. Yeah. So there's a lot of sounds here. And the nice thing is that you already know 5 of those notes. You've got that minor pentatonic scale. The rest of them, move them around as you see fit. The Dorian mode, a lot of times you'll play those in situations where you've either got a static minor chord where it's just this one chord for a long period of time, or it's like a minor 1 chord and a major, or a dominant 7/4 chord. If you've got a minor 4 chord, that actually gives you just the regular minor scale. All right, the blues scale can be used in any context. The other sounds like the harmonic minor, it really just depends on what you think you need to get out of it. That harmonic minor scale, sometimes I'll play the 5 chord as an arpeggio, which gives us the harmonic minor sound, just so I can resolve into the 1 chord. And I can do that in almost any context. There's the blues scale, and there's the major 7. So a lot of this is up to your discretion. But if you've got a progression you're playing over that has more than 1 or 2 chords, you're kind of stuck in either a major or a minor key. And this modal stuff, or the ability to use these as colors, kind of goes away, because all those chords will define whether or not you're playing in a major or minor key. If you're just playing over a single chord, then you've got all of this stuff that you can use to actually make the solo more interesting.